Outer Orange.
Привет, welcome back. I know it's been a while since you've heard my lovely voice. It's been quite hectic over here on my side between personal life and then having Duluth and then having testing. I really wanted to go over some of the V support. We just got some new cards revealed and I actually think they're really awesome. I think these are really good additions to the V card pool that we're getting, and we're going to go ahead and talk about them as they just got revealed. This is what they look like, and we're going to be getting basically the exact same thing as we had in 2023 so far. Every single month we had 2 promos come out, one for a clan, New Batama, and Aquaforce would be for like January for Japan, and for us we would get it in March. What these are is they're just promos that are useful. Usually they're either helping the decks or they are some kind of defensive mechanic or some kind of support or some way to search for stuff. Last year we basically had these things where you can discard them, look at top 5 for a grade 1 or 2 or less, and we add them to hand. There's a second skill would be exclusive to clan. This year they're a little bit different, and this will be for upcoming 2024 and so on and so forth. So I'm gonna go ahead and kind of go through them with y'all, and then we'll start from there. This is for V and Premium, by the way, so you can use them for both. This also just shows that we're probably getting more V stuff and maybe more V support, so I don't think as some people have been like, you know, speculating if the format's dying. Don't think it's dying, but you never know. But anyway, so just to give you guys an example of what these look like, we have the New Batama one right here. This is the Stealth Dragon Migetsu, and he says, continuous hand, this card can be used as a cost for calling a G Guardian. If you were to use a G Guardian, you can use this to do that with. If you don't know what a G Guardian is, Premium, there is a G Zone, and there's 16 cards in there. They can be whatever you want them to be, but you can use these things called G Guardians. An interaction that you can do on your opponent's turn in the guard step. Usually, you typically have to discard a heal. In this situation, you can discard this instead. You can just use this, and then you can get your G Guardian going. It makes Premium so interesting. And this card now adds onto that, and typically you need a heal in hand to do it, but now you have this, which helps a lot. Sometimes, you know, you're playing Premium and you're like, digging for that heal. Well, now you really don't have to dig for that heal as much. And fun fact, because this is a grade 1 and the Ride Fixers, which is the grade 2s can actually search this card now. So for grade 2, you can do the top 5, add a grade 1. And you can add this grade 1 specifically. Also, keep in mind, these are 5k bases actually. They're not 8k powers, they're 5k. They're obviously purposely done like that so people don't abuse them as rearguard circles as rearguards as much as abuse them as hand defense. And that way, so if you have to forcefully ride it, that kind of sucks. I also think it's pretty smart. Keep in mind, every single clan is going to have that first effect, and the second effect will be different and usually tutored to the clan that you will utilize it the best. In this case, for New Batama, we have on auto. When this card is placed on the guard circle from hand, you can cost remove a heal trigger from your hand or drop or the drop zone. This unit gets plus 10k shield for every 2 cards in your opponent's hand until the end of battle. If your opponent has 4 cards or 4 or fewer cards in hand, you can combo, choose one of your cards, and it gets plus 5k power until the end of turn, which is really awesome. It means your base goes up. And keep in mind, it's whenever you place them. So, you know, you can even do this early, you can do this later, you can do this whenever. And as long as your opponent has a pretty bad hand, you know, you can counterblast and give yourself some power. So your opponent has to play very carefully. If they like super aggro, they have a small hand, well, guess what? Now you're getting plus 5k. If they have a huge hand, well, guess what? Now you're getting a ton of shield. Very New Batama-esque, so it fits New Batama's whole thing very well. So this is a very interesting card, very different, and this is definitely going to be interesting from each clan as we see this happen. I think it's a great addition. Keep in mind, the grade 1s are 10ks. Step by they can become a 20k, 30k, 40k shield based off every 2 cards. Just really awesome. For the Aquaforce one, we have the Tear Dragon. 2 ways from hand, this card can be used as a cost for calling a G Guardian. Again, same thing. And the second effect says, when this unit is placed on guard circle from hand, again, very similar. You can remove kill trigger from your hand or drop zone. Prefer one of the following effects based on the battle that the turn is on. First battle, you can combo one, choose one of your vigors until a turn it gets vanguard circle. All of your vigors can be chosen by abilities of your opponent's cards, and power, and you get power plus 5k. And the second to third battle, this unit gets 20k shield until the end of battle, which is insane, by the way. That is a lot of shield because they're 10ks already. 30k shield being added on to a grade 1, which is really solid. This first effect is like pretty cracked for Aquaforce players. They usually don't want their board touched, and actually they already have some cards that do that, but just having a grade 1 that does that is just really awesome. First battles will typically always happen. Second and third might not happen as often, but this first effect will almost always happen. Give your board resist. It's just really awesome. Just your opponent can't touch your stuff. Very cool. Overall, I really like these. This is the start. Obviously, we're gonna be getting more one for each clan, and I don't know if it's gonna follow the exact same process as last year in terms of the order of the clans. So far, that seems to be the case. This makes V and Premium more interesting by far. I think especially Premium, this is a really big addition. Having the fact that you have 2 different effects that the card can be makes a lot of decision making happen, because you can use it as the first effect and you can just G-guard with it, or you can use it as a second effect and get rid of your heals and use it that way. What's also interesting is some decks already bind heals and do all this monkey stuff. Some decks set heals back. Some decks like farm heals back to hand. A good example I'm going to use, because I play these 2 clans a lot, is Grand Blue and Bermuda Triangle. Bermuda Triangle tends to send their heals back, at least in V, so that's going to be interesting to use. Like Grand Blue likes to farm their heals back to hand with Greek Shades, so interestingly enough, you can kind of think through, like, is it worth 3 shading sometimes? You just have more actions, and again, you could just use it as the G guard first, and then, you know, think about the second effect later if you're running more than one copy. And again, like I mentioned before, you can fetch these with the grade 2 fixers. Only thing I don't like about this, and I was kind of weird about this last year, is the fact that we're getting these so late. We get them late. Like Japan has access to them a little bit earlier since they started on January. We start them, I think, in March, basically. If I remember, last year was March. And that kind of sucks because we have this 2-month delay. And right now, we're still not done with getting all the promos out. And some people just literally can't play their clans because their promos are so late. A good example is Pale Moon. Pale Moon, I believe, is getting theirs in like January, I want to say. I don't remember the other 3 that are missing. I think there's 3 other ones that just don't have theirs yet. But it's just really late. I do wish there was like a way we could speed up the process just a little bit, just so by the time we're competing, we can actually use them all. Like, for example, like September comes around, BCS is starting, people could already be playing with their clans at max power. It sucks that there's some clans like Aqua Force that have had the really good promo since March. So that deck has been in meta this entire time. Meanwhile, we have Grand Blue and Bermuda Triangle clans I really like and really enjoy to play. They only really started picking up the pace like a month or 2 back because they just got the promos a month or 2 back. And it's kind of rough because it only now does it matter, but I kind of wish I could play some of these cards during Spring Fest. Play them a little bit earlier, maybe earlier in the season. Luckily enough, my BCS this year was a little bit later, but if it was a little bit earlier, then I'd be playing with different decks. And I did also travel, which means I had different decks I had to play, and I had to play like Nerf build essentially because I already tested with the promo. It's just a completely different style. And I just think that's a little rough. And I think the next thing from here, a lot of people want more support for decks, and I'm all for that, but I actually am hoping and dreaming that, and I've been saying this for years probably now, but I'm really hoping we bring Cryo Elementals over to V. Of course, we don't want to make them super busted, but it would be really nice to have even more interaction because those can be used instantly because any clan can use them, and it could also be used at premium. I just think it'd be cool to have more Cryo Elementals introduced. We had a revamp of Cryo Elementals to some degree in premium format. It'd be really cool if we could bring over some to V and also let premium access those because they do change how some decks play. We're already starting to see that with Hanui. There's also a recent card that Card Review has been kind of pushing more, which is Seekers. And then there's actually a couple other ones that got a small little touch that I can see a future where they can come up just because of just certain metas changing or shifting. I think it's great that people just throw in these Cryo Elementals. Obviously, we've seen Rowalk come in action before. Just these little fun interactions that people add to make their decks more interesting. It increases the bricking, obviously, because those cards are meant for defense and they're not really meant for the game plan. As the meta develops, as we get stronger decks, especially right now with the Gold's promo out, or it's out, but it's not legal yet for events. It will be in like a week or 2. That being said, yeah, that deck gets really crazy. It would be really nice to kind of tech around it, and there actually really is no way to tech around that deck aside from decking it out, and that's really rough because that deck attacks for crazy numbers. Anj has like 11 attacks now. Night Rose can pop off like crazy on first ride. There's just so many decks that do a lot, and sadly enough, sometimes the heal guard just isn't enough because sometimes you just don't find it in time. You can't get to it in time because it is a trigger, and sometimes even your searches whiff or whatever. And you know, I've had games where I'm like, oh, I whiffed all 4 of my grade 3 searchers. I guess I lose the game here because I can't find a heal guardian, and it does happen. And I think in those situations it really sucks. So it'd be really nice to have just an added mechanic or another way to just get access to help yourself when you're going second or when you're in a situation where your opponent's attacking 15 times. With that being said, premium has ways to go around that. V does not, and I think that's the biggest gatekeep from making V like a really good format. I think it's an amazing format. It's my favorite format still to this day. I love D and premium, don't get me wrong. I really enjoyed them, but V is still like my baby. So but we'll see. Maybe Cryo Elementals will be added. Maybe it's a little too risky. I don't know. I can understand the risk factor because since it's access to all clans, it can break some clans. But yeah, that's basically it. I just want to kind of talk about them. Sorry, I went on a rant. I think that these are amazing. I'm really excited. Can't wait to see the ones that my clan will get. I don't know if we're gonna get them in October, November again, like we did this year. Hopefully not. It would be nice to get them sooner, or at least see them so that way I know what to do and start preparing for that. Let me know below what you think, what your thoughts are, what you think your clan's gonna get, what do you think that second effect's gonna look like, what you're excited for, what you're not excited for, with this stuff coming up. Do you want more support? Do you want less support? I want more support, but you know, that's a little hard sometimes. I understand there's a lot of products coming out between all 3 formats. It's a lot to keep up with. But let me know below if I don't have anything else. Do not forget to shop at 50cards.shop. Set 13 is dropping this week. So if you have any goodies or anything that you're missing out on, please feel free to use my code OUTERORANGE to get all your stuff. And yeah, that's basically it. I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and yeah, peace out. That's Vidania. See you guys in a future video. Bye.